everyone, and welcome to the second part of this video tutorial on your netted trouser. I'm your tutor, Sima Gold. Please, at the end of this tutorial, please do not forget to give me a thumbs up. Even if you don't like it, give me a thumbs up, and also you can subscribe to my channel, please. So we are just going straight down to how to cut the pants trouser. So in the previous video we cut out the upper part of the trouser. I'll put the link below. So you can watch the cutting part of it if you missed that tutorial. So straight to what we have today. I'm going to be using a crepe fabric, but this I have a very light crepe fabric and it's cool for what I want to use it to do. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to draft out. For the upper part, I'm just going to put my fabric on, fold, and this is the back part now. If you have not added your seam, when you watch the cutting tutorial, if you have not added your seam allowance, you can do that now. But for this, I already added my seam allowance on the pattern paper, so I'm good to cut. We are going to be adding seam allowance at the down part of this, the break point between the netted part and the fabric part, which is I'll add 1 inch. So I'm marking out my 1 inch. Now this is my 1 inch and I'm just going to cut. The next thing, I'm just going to cut the side parts. Remember, if you've not added your seam allowance on your pattern paper, you can add it on your fabric, but for me, I already added my seam allowance on my pattern paper, so I don't have need for seam allowance there anymore. So I'm just going to pin the back part with the fabric and keep aside. Then I'm going to go to the front too. I'm placing my front pattern on this fabric. Remember, you still have to do the same 1 inch seam allowance at the break point between the netted part of the trouser and the part that has the fabric. So this is 1 inch. And I'm going to cut. And we have our upper parts ready to be sewn. Now for the netted part, on the drafting tutorial, I showed us how we are going to be having this box, this horizontal and vertical lines, and this is the outcome. I've already started the work in progress, but I left some parts so you can see the outcome, and I got my bias. So after drafting, I told us that we are to draw a vertical and horizontal line. Here is my tape, 1 inch each. You see, you measure 1 inch, another 1 inch, just keep measuring your 1 inch like this. Then you come towards this side, measure 1 inch, an inch, 1 inch, just like that, and that is how you have these lines. Now take note that you can actually do 0.5 inch, you can do 1.5 inch, you can do 2 inch, you can do 4, just depends on the space, how you want the space to be. And before going to the sewing machine, I'll just show you an example of what the outcome of what I'm working on. So now this is it. When you finish taking your tape, your bias, estimately we can say we use say 15 rows of bias for this. Now you know your bias strip is like this. You don't place like this, you are not going to have this outcome. If you want to be creative, you can actually try this out to see the outcome, but for this particular one we are doing, this is not what we did. we are folding our bias into 2 equal halves like this, and we are placing on the line, exactly on the line, and we sew straight down. Now this is when it's being sewn straight down. You can see this is the outcome when, and you're sewing it on your pattern paper, when you keep sewing straight down. After sewing straight down like this, you know we did 2 lines, horizontal and vertical. When this is complete to a straight line, you start following this other line, which is what we are still doing here. Then this. So we are just going to go straight to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to show you how to sew it. Okay, now this is my pattern paper and my bias. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to show you how to sew it. This is my bias, and it's folded into 2. On the line, please, with emphasis on the line, and you start sewing. Take your time. Now this is the outcome of what I just made right now. So you're just going to continue till you get to your actual length of the trouser. It could be a trouser, it could be a knicker, a short, sorry, and that's just it. Thank you. So next we are just going to go to how we couple the upper part of the trouser before we attach this to the upper part of the trouser. Okay, so now we have our pockets ready. I did 14 for the breadth and 14 for the length. We have our waistband, so you can use the length of your client's waistband. Remember at the upper part when we were drafting the trouser, we offed 1. So now my waistband I have here, I have about 4 inch. So when I fold in and I fold in half of an inch, I have about 3 inch remaining. So when it's folded into 2, I have 1.5. Maybe when we are sewing, we'll see that. Now I have these 2 stripes for my flap of my zip, and I have it could be, I have what I have here. I have 9 by 3 inches, and it has to be 2. I have my zip. I'm using a visible zip, but you can use a normal zip. This we already drafted down the upper part of our trouser for the front and the back, and this is my knitted down, fully knitted. So now we're going straight to the sewing. So I want to start sewing the front part of the trouser. The first thing first, I'm going to be getting the 2 front parts. To the 2 front parts of the trouser. The one by my right, I'm going to take this strap that I made mention of earlier, that is 3 inches, and I'm going to sew it, fold it into 2, and sew it onto this part of the trouser. I'm going to sew it up until 7 inches. You can stop at 6.5 or 7 inches. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to take it inside, and I'm going to top stitch so that it can relax very well. It's optional, you can just use to iron flats. So after this now, I'm just going to go straight to iron it flat. So after ironing, we have it flat like this. You take your zip. Now I said I'm using invisible zip, but whatever the front part of your zip is, be it the normal zip or the invisible zip, you have to place it this way. You have to place it this way on top, slightly covered and a little bit revealing. And I'm going to be sewing 6 inches of that zip. Now so far, this is what we have. Easy peasy. This is what we have. You take the other parts of the trouser, this one, you place on top this way. You take the other part of the zip that have not been fixed this way. The other part of the flap that was cut down, this is where you get to use it. You take this first, take the other part of your zip that have not been fixed, and this one you place it here. So now you are picking the 3 of them straight to your sewing machine. Careful, just feel your zip, because now you know you are not seeing it, you are only feeling it. Be careful so you don't hit the mouth of the zip. I'm still going to sew it straight down to my 6 inches. Now this is what we have here. Now this is what I have. I'm going to trim off, minusing my zip, or you can include your zip. I'm just going to trim off a little bit so it's not shocking. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is at the under parts of the trouser, the crotch part, I'm just going to sew it closely straight down to where the zip ended. And you can sew by 1/2 inches. Up until your 6 inches. And you take to the ironing table. The next thing you are going to be doing is, for the front part, you see it's not yet relaxed even after ironing. All you need to do is, you see when you turn to the back of your trouser at this point, you see one, your zip, and another one. This one you push aside for now. You can choose to use your chalk, your tailor's chalk, to give it a shape of your choice. Or you can If you don't want your fabric to be stained, if you are so used to curving, you can just curve on your own. Now when you get to the down part like this, you raise up first. I want to show you, I could have just done it myself. Now you see that it has been separate all this while, but when you get towards, you see that it has been separate all this while, but when you get towards this ending, you cover it up and go back to your sewing machine. Just watch the video carefully and you're going to understand everything, every detail. This is what I have, and I can open my trouser and you see what I have there. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be coupling the back too. But before I couple the back, next thing I'm going to be the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be fixing the pockets. Now these are my side pockets. We go to the pocket of the trouser now. This is my pocket. I told you 14 by 14. So now I'm taking this pocket, this edge of my trouser to the edge of this edge of my pocket, the edge of the trouser, and I'm going to be placing. Now the shock that I marked 3 inches by 5, or you can do 7 inches too. And I drew a line, marked here, and I drew a line to connect. Now your line can be curvy, can be straight. I think I did a slightly curved line here. And the next thing I'm going to, another thing is, if you feel like you up to it, you can put your gum stay here and here, but you have to be careful the kind of fabric you are using. If you're using a so small stretchy fabric and fabric that doesn't have relaxation, like mine is not relaxed, you might have a coily part at that edge. So I did not put my gum stay or paper stay, I just sew straight, but you too, you can't do that. So I'm going to sew. After sewing, I'm just going to trim off some reasonable portion of it. Now this is what we have. I'm going to turn in. Before I turn in, I'm going to take this part and top stitch. Now I've top stitched and this is the front. I flip it over to this side. I'm going to measure out what I minus from the side of the pocket, and which was 3 inches. So by this side I'm going to be measuring down my 3 inches. Take it back and pin. So this is what I have. I'm just going to give it a small, I'm just going to secure it here a little bit. You can choose to pin down, or you can choose to just slightly top stitch. So I'll just go over to do the other side of the front pocket. Now for the inside part of the pocket, I'm just going to give it, you can give it a 4-corner shape, you can give it a slightly curved shape, whichever one you choose to. So now you can see that the pocket is ready, and this is it. Here is firm even without the stay that I put, but remember I said you can as well as put your stay before you turn and top stitch. Now I want to go over to the back part. This is the back part. I'm going to close my crush first. So now I want to fix the darts for the back side. What am I going to do? I'm just going to take this trouser like this. I'm going to get the midpoint from here, the upper part of the waist here. I have 11, which is 5.5. Half of 11 is 5.5. I'm going to draw a straight line, come down by up to 5 inches. From here, from the center, I'm going to take ½ inch, just like a normal dart. Take another ½ inch. Then I sew. Now the dart for the back. I will go over and do the other side. We have the back of our trouser ready, and we have the front ready. So I'm going to be sewing by ½ inch on all the sides now. So I've joined the sides of the trouser, and this place, the center, is open. Remember I asked you to label the upper part before we marked the side front, the side back, and this is the down part. So I'm just going to get the side front and the side back. Now this is my side front and that is my side back. I'm going to come to this down part of the trouser where it falls in, take it this way, and I'm going to sew. I'm sewing by ½ inch. Now I've attached this part. I'm going to be going to the other part of the trouser. Okay, so I've attached the netted down to the upper part of the body, joined the side. The only part that is open is the middle part. So I've done that for both legs. The next thing I'm going to be doing is we need our papers out. So you're just going to take your time, carefully remove your paper one by one. So I'm just going to continue this and I'll show us the result. But before we see the result, this is what I'm going to be having. So just in case you are following the video step by step, this is what you are going to be having, neatly done. So I'm just going to do the other one and I'll show you the result. Thank you.